Welcome to EDH 502, Classroom Environment and Management. In this unit, for the next 7 weeks, we will be talking about understanding behaviors. We will also be talking about behavior models, functional behavioral assessments, behavior intervention plans, positive reinforcement, and so forth. By the end of this particular unit, you should be able to describe theoretical models used to explain human behavior. You should be able to provide a synthesis of each of these models and offer a comparative analysis. You should be able to describe the evolution of positive behavior support and compare positive behavior support model to the applied behavior analysis model, and you should be able to describe the functional utility of the models. In the next few slides, we will be focusing on theoretical models. The first one of those is the biological model. The biological model is also known as the medical model. It is an early model for social work practice. The focus is on individuals with the problem. It assumes that the professional has the knowledge and power to cure, and therefore you can see that it examines the presence of atypical development and behavioral differences from an organic standpoint. And like I said, it is also known as the medical model. Therefore, what they are trying to actually do in this model is to focus on the individual and the problem. So basically, in other words, we can say that they think that the problem is within the individual and they are trying to find and cure. The next model is the developmental model, which was pioneered by Piaget and Vygotsky, and it is basically focuses on the stage theory of development. Developmental models focus on how behavior changes and stays the same across the life cycle. The stage theories are usually characterized by human development that occurs in clearly defined stages. It is said that each stage of life is qualitatively different from all other stages. Stages of development are sequential, with each stage building on earlier stages, and the stages of development are universal. All environments provide the support necessary for such development. It stresses on the child's adaptation to his or her environment, which they believe is largely innate, and the application of this model is witnessed through the use of developmentally appropriate practices, also known as DAP. Now let's talk about the psychodynamic model that was pioneered by theorists such as Freud and Erikson. The psychodynamic psychotherapy is concerned with how internal processes such as the needs, drives, and emotions motivate human behavior. They believe that emotions have a central place in human behavior. Unconscious as well as conscious mental activity serves as the motivating force in human behavior. Early childhood experiences are central in the patterning of an individual's emotions and therefore central to problems of living throughout life. Individuals may become overwhelmed by internal and or external demands, and individuals frequently use ego defense mechanisms to avoid becoming overwhelmed by internal and or external demands. So once again, here the focus or the emphasis is on cognitive processes as the underlying motive for behavior. We will now talk about the ecological model. The ecological model is widely known from the work of Yuri Bronfenbrenner and his application of his model with families. It comprises of the microsystem, mesosystem, exosystem, macrosystem, and chromosystem. The microsystems focus is on the child and family and interpersonal interactions, the level within which a child experiences immediate interactions with other people. At the beginning, the microsystem is the home, involving interactions with only one or two people in the family. As the child ages, The microsystem is more complex, involving more people, such as in a childcare center or school. Bronfenbrenner noted that when increased numbers in a child's microsystem result in more enduring reciprocal relationships, then the increasing size of the system will enhance the child development. The focus on the mesosystems is on the interrelationships among settings such as home, childcare center, and school. The stronger and more diverse the links among settings, the more powerful and influence the resulting systems will be on the child's development. In these interrelationships, the initiatives of the child and the parents' involvement in linking the home and the school play roles in determining the quality of the child's mesosystem. In exosystems, the quality of interrelationships among settings is influenced by forces in which the child does not participate, but which have a direct bearing on parents and other adults who interact with the child. These may include the parental workshops, school boards, social service agencies, and planning commissions. The macrosystems represent society at large. They are the interlocking social forces overarching the world of the child, and those interrelationships indirectly influence the shaping of human development. They provide a broad by ideological and organizational patterns within which the meso and exosystems operate. Macrosystems are not static but might change through evolution and revolution. For example, war, economic recession, and technological changes may produce such changes. The next model is the behavioral model, which views human behavior from a functional perspective in terms that are measurable and observable. It recognizes that all behaviors serve a function and have evolved from the individual's learning history. The origins of this model stem from the early work of Pavlov, which focused on classical conditioning. There is some focus on the Thorndike law of effect and Watson's behaviorism. Majority of what we know about behavior management or behavior modification has been learned since the end of World War II. Many earlier studies of behavior focused on animal research. Much of the initial post-World War II research took place at the University of Indiana under J. Robert Cantor and B. F. Skinner. Skinner is considered to be the founder of behavioral science, and his work continues to be influential. Skinner studied operant conditioning in rats and pigeons as part of the Pigeon Project during World War II. Operant conditioning uses rewards and punishments to help reinforce specific behaviors. Positive rewards are used to reinforce desired behaviors. Punishments are used to reduce or totally eliminate negative behavior. The, the field of behavior modification or the behavioral model further evolved with the advent of applied behavior analysis. This brings us to the question, what is applied behavior analysis or ABA? ABA involves the scientific study of human behavior. ABA is a strategy for teaching people with disabilities to learn new behaviors or stop behaviors that are unacceptable or harmful. A person is observed over time to determine exactly when the person does a specific behavior. ABA can focus on observing when a person doesn't show a specific behavior that he or she should be doing. The observers also note when a behavior occurs, how often it is or isn't seen, what happens before and what happens after the behavior is observed. This scientific approach is based on data and facts, making it easier to decide which behaviors need to be changed and the role the behavior plays in the person's life. All of this information is important to developing a detailed plan for the behavior. The next model is a social learning model. Albert Bandura advance the understanding of human behavior and learning through the social learning model. The social learning model recognizes the cognitive influences on behavior and the role of models within the child's environments as being central to learning. In social learning theory, Albert Bandura states behavior is learned from the environment through the process of observational learning. Unlike Skinner, Bandura believes that humans are active information processors and think about the relationship between their behavior and its consequences. Observational learning could not occur unless cognitive processes were at work. Children observe the people around them behaving in various ways. This is illustrated during the famous Bobo doll experiment that was conducted by Bandura in 1961. If you don't know about this experiment, I would encourage you to watch the video, and I have posted a link where it says Bobo doll experiment. Please click on that and watch the video to learn more about the Bobo doll experiment conducted by Bandura. We will now spend some time talking about positive behavior supports, or PBS, which was first advocated in 1990 by Horner and his colleagues as a model of non-aversive behavior supports for individuals with developmental disabilities. Some view PBS to be an outgrowth of ABA, but what is important to note is that PBS has been embraced by IDEA. Positive behavior supports, or PBS, is a process for understanding and resolving the problem behavior of children that is based on values of empirical research. It offers an approach for developing an understanding of why the child engages in problem behavior and strategies for preventing the occurrence of problem behavior while teaching the child new skills. PBS offers a holistic approach that considers all factors that impact on a child and the child's behavior. It can be used to address problem behaviors that range from aggression, tantrums, and property destruction to social withdrawal. What we must note is that PBS represents a philosophy of practice aimed at enhancing the quality of life for individuals with disabilities and their families. The focus of PBS is on person-centered planning, and it relies on the use of functional behavioral assessments to determine the function of the behavior. And we will be talking about positive behavior supports in further details in the next few weeks. Like I just mentioned, positive behavior supports use FBA to determine the function of the behavior, and based on the data collected through FBA, a hypothesis is formulated, and which basically tells us about the behavior, what triggers the behavior, and the consequences that it is associated with. And the data from FBA are then used to generate an individualized behavior support plan or individualized behavior intervention plan. The positive behavior support focuses on 3 tiers of intervention aimed at school-wide, classroom, and tertiary or individual levels. And with the recent reauthorization of IDEA, PBS has been chosen as to be the intervention of choice. So that was a description of PBS in a nutshell, and we, like I said, we will be talking about positive behavior supports in further details in the next few weeks.